Hey, it's Chris Doherty, Doherty Properties, coming to you where I want to discuss how rentbacks are being used in today's market and what some of the pitfalls may be if you're considering that as a potential option. We'll talk about that today. In this crazy seller's market that we have in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, buyers are looking to get an edge and sellers are looking to find a way to sell their home while they can also figure out how they can buy another home in that process so they don't end up homeless. One of the things that has become popular is this rent back situation, which has been around for a long time, but it's being used all the time now as a strategy that sellers and buyers are using to try to move their home. So what happens in this case is there is a seller that is selling their property, and what they do is they say, listen, we are looking for the buyer that will close on our home. They'll buy our home, but they're going to let us rent it from them while we try to find a home on our own. And the reason that the sellers are doing that is because they want to clear contingencies so that they don't have a mortgage contingency on their home or a home sale contingency on their home to buy another home. So they sell their home and they still live in that home, and they now rent it from the buyer. They rent it back from the buyer who just purchased the home to give that seller an advantage when they buy their property. So what are some of the benefits and what are some of the risks? The benefit is for the seller, clearly you get rid of a home sale contingency that when you're looking to buy, you don't have to say, hey, in order to buy your house, I have to sell mine. So that's a huge benefit that a seller gets if they can get a buyer to enter into a rent back situation. The other thing is that it gives that seller a lot of flexibility on timing so they don't feel like they have this pressure that they got to find something in 30 days or 45 days. It frees that process up a little bit. However, there are risks that are associated with this that as a seller and a buyer, you have to consider. The first, especially for the buyer or the new owner, is will that seller be able to actually be out in the time frame that they say? You know, sometimes people have good intentions and they think they can be out in 45 or 60 days. But what if they can't find a home, and what if they don't leave? That old owner now becomes a tenant at will, and you could get into a situation where you have to move through process to get rid of them. That would be a worst case scenario, and I don't see it a lot, but it's something that you have to consider. The second is, what do you do in terms of a final walkthrough? Do you walk through the home knowing that they're not going to leave? So before you purchase the home, one of the issues we run into is, okay, day of closing, but the seller's not leaving. And so we can walk through that home to make sure there was no damage. But what happens after you own the home if there is damage from closing date to when you actually get to move into that property? Okay, so there's some risk associated with a rent back, but it can be a good strategy if you are okay with some of the potential risk to win a potential deal. If you go to that seller and you say, hey, we're willing to buy your house and let you live there until you find a new home for 2, 3, or 4 months, that could be a very enticing offer to a seller looking to buy their second home. If you're a seller, it's another way for you to get leverage where you can sell your home, but you don't have to go anywhere. Now you're closed and sold, and you still have a place to live while you look for that next house, and you've eliminated a contingency that will actually help you win in this market. So very popular right now, rent back provisions. We're using them frequently. You're seeing them all the time if you're agents, but for sellers or buyers, that's another tool that you can use in this market. Hope you guys are having a great day and hope that the real estate market stays as strong as it have. And I look forward to seeing you all in the days ahead.